Hello, everyone. Oop. Hello, all. I hope you are doing well on this fine day. The rest of the emotes have gotten approved. We have our whole suite of crabs now. Feel free to use them at your heart's content. Would you like a crab in this trying time? I have a miniature furnace on my lap at the moment. The executive producer has decided to join for the stream, so he is present. I think I fixed the video issue that we were having last time as well, so we shouldn't have to fuss with that again. But now we're going to be getting into the psychotic endgame of what's going on. We found out that our girlfriend might be an alien. The apocalypse might have happened. There's rain that makes everyone forget. And I don't know. Oh, he receives much of everyone's love at all times. I also have a nice new coffee mug that my wife got me. It's very cute. I like it very much. The little guys. Big fan. But yeah. Yeah, little crows. Just cute little guys. It's like the perfect intersection between my wife's sensibility of cute birds and my sensibility of gothic creep shit. So it's a great Venn diagram intersection. It's the perfect gift from her, I think. So, but without much further ado, I do believe it is time to get into whatever the shit fuck this is. So, heading on over to the game. Yes, it does look like I fixed it, but it also looks like... Okay, whatever. Good enough. Maybe that just moved. Fucked that up. Good enough. Okay. We are ready to begin. Only minor tech issues this time. So we're traveling through the memories right now of An Sakura and Ran Ibuki on trying to help her through these strange, trying times that she finds herself in. One of the only people immune to the reigns of the mother of humanity. I can't really look into much of this right now because it's all my book isn't accessible right now because we're currently in the midst of a recall. So I can't learn anything. Which interesting. Very interesting. Turning my gain down a tiny bit. So see I keep peaking the mic. Let me know if sound becomes a problem at any time. 3 days after Ibuki stepped foot into my house, she awkwardly invited me to visit her own house for dinner. When I pretended to refuse her, Ibuki made an expression of disappointment and incredulity that was... Oh, right, no, I'm on Sakura right now. When I pretended to refuse her, Ibuki made an expression of disappointment and incredulity that was ultra adorable. And when I changed my tune and said that, of course I'd go, her pouting but happy expression was even more adorable. Ron's been reminding us all day about how you're planning to come over as a guest so we wouldn't forget. Miho spoke as she served food onto Ron's plate. She was very beautiful, and her words and motions were quite refined. The fact that Ron was able to enjoy a highly sanitary environment even after she fell ill was surely in no small part due to Mr. K's efforts. Ooh, Myth, hit me with your theory. I always love hearing good theories. And when she smiled, the dimples by her eyes would lift upwards slightly, catching my attention. Oh, I love real Aya. Her look is really good. See, I told you she was bringing a girlfriend back, even though Ron kept denying it. Expanding on Scoop's idea that Ron is anonymous Ron. Miss Toyama took off the apron and carried the newly finished curry chicken to the dining table. I'd heard that she did the cooking in their household. She didn't look the part. Miss Toyama looked charismatic, like the kind of person who'd be popular with the ladies. She wasn't short. The ponytail she wore gave a handsome cast to her features, despite her face seeming childishly youthful. She looked less like a household cook and more like the person that the household cook was supposed to make treats for. And I couldn't help but notice the choker around her neck. Ibuki had told me that Aya was in a rock and roll band, which is why she wore it. But when I learned that it was Miss Takei that brought her the choker in the first place, I concluded that she was probably wearing it more for private purposes. I couldn't help but imagine myself buying one for Ibuki. She'd probably try awkwardly to refuse it for a while before ultimately acceding to my desires and putting it on anyways. Ibuki often tells me about the two of you as well. She told me about how the two of you are the only people in the world who truly love her and wouldn't abandon her no matter what. Oh, wow, for reals? Ron, did you actually say something so cute to your girlfriend? Nah, I made it up. Ibuki jostled me with her elbow. I didn't know what she meant by it. After all, she had in fact said those exact words to me. But I'm sure she was thinking it in her heart. Don't worry, we all know how Ron feels. You should see the way she pouts when you're not around. Yeah, I could very easily imagine what Ibuki would look like while pouting. Recall being an alien ability seems to want to confirm that. What if On body snatched Ron to extend her lifespan, and by the end of the Weird High School killing investigations, Ron remembered that, and that's why she's in On's body and stabbed On. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea where this is gonna go. This has swerved me by making her a fucking alien. Who's the Notebook then, too? Who's the Notebook? Who's the weird space alien that keeps invading our dorm at night? Where are the worms? Well, it's a good time to bring it up then. Miss Takei set down her chopsticks and watched me with her eyes. I couldn't help but get nervous at her gaze. After hearing about you from Ron, I've always wanted to thank you in person. Even though Aya and I have tried our best to take care of Ron, there's very little we can do for her when she's at school. Thank you for keeping her company in class. It's nothing. I've enjoyed the time we've spent together as well. In middle school, Ron's condition didn't permit her to go to school, so she didn't attend classes for long before I pulled her out and started tutoring her at home. Luckily, she's quite intelligent. Even though her illness made it hard for her to focus, she was still able to test into her current high school. We'd originally thought that it would be a good opportunity for her to make some friends of the same age, but she still had quite a tough time during freshman year. Yeah, see, I was thinking that too, where I thought the entity in the book was some aspect of Ron protecting herself in her weird delusions. But that might be a real person. I don't know, man. As she spoke, Miss Takei gave a concerned glance in Ibuki's direction. I'd heard of that period of time in Ibuki's life as well in passing. Back then, her classmates had held serious prejudices against her because of her nationality rather than her condition. Even now, I still feel like Koizumi-sensei is the only good teacher I've ever met. You should thank her properly afterwards. She keeps an eye out for you frequently, doesn't she? Ibuki nodded. That conversation reminded me that Ibuki had once mentioned that Mr. K had once asked the school not to reveal that Ibuki was a foreigner, but clearly some loose-mouthed teacher had let the information out anyways. Koizumi-sensei was responsible for our grade's math classes as well. Before Ibuki met me, the only person at school that Ibuki was on speaking terms with was her. Just in case, I'd used recall on Koizumi-sensei as well. Her life story hadn't exactly been smooth sailing, and in the future it was likely to take a turn for the worst. But that wasn't something for me to interfere with. Okay, that's enough about the unhappy past. We're moved on. Ron-chan has you to help her support. Ron-chan has you to help support her now as well, Han. Using a dinner knife, Miss Toyama sliced off and deposited some roasted pork on my plate. You seem pretty mature, Han. With you around, I'm sure that Ron-chan will be fine. I did, in fact, have a lot more life experience than most others around me due to the recalls. But mature. I lifted my hand and experimentally touched my face. Relative to Earthlings, I did experience an increased rate of senescence. I hoped that wasn't what Miss Toyama had meant. Ron, why are you so quiet today? Nothing. I just wanted you and Aya to chat more with Aunt. Oh, are you nervous? As if I'd have any reason to be nervous in my own home. Even though I couldn't help but tease her again, I understood how Ibuki must have felt. She must have been wondering whether her adoptive mothers and I, 3 people who each cared deeply about her, would get along well. Well, you should talk more then. I want to see how you act while you're at home. Ron's very well behaved. I've been working from home lately, and during that time, Ron has frequently made tea for us, or helped rub our shoulders to relieve stress. Absolutely, absolutely. But honestly, Ron-chan spends more time pouting at you than helping out, doesn't she? She's always asking for hugs and all that. That's normal, isn't it? Oh. Ron's reliance on the 2 of them must surely exceed the feelings that most ordinary people have for their parents. Ibuki was abandoned by her biological parents and consigned to a nation that spoke completely different language, not to mention how she'd inherited her mother's schizophrenia. But even then, Miss Toyama and Mr. K had taken good care of her. They must have put in unimaginable effort to get her to a point where she could participate in normal society. Furthermore, the symptoms of her condition left her with little interest in interacting with strangers. In contrast, she needed a physical contact with those who were closest to her to find her sense of security in social interactions. But after eliminating these reasons, all I could do was imagine Ibuki pouting at her parents before she asked him for a hug. It reminded me once about how unbelievably cute Ibuki was. Speaking of which, lately our office has been considering having everyone work from home due to an increased prevalence of honeycomb amnesia incidents around here. You 2 make sure to be careful when you're going to school, too. Try to... Sir? Alright. He is left. He is departed. He is gone. The boy, he leaves. You 2 make sure you're careful when you're going to school, too. Try to take the safer paths further from the roads. Otherwise, it'd be dangerous if a driver suddenly got hit by the syndrome. I nodded and wondered to myself whether the rains would come if Ibuki, the beloved child, brought up anything about the supernatural to the humans around her. If at all possible, I would have loved to be able to explain my identity to them and explain that Ibuki was destined to live a difficult life. And when those difficulties came, I would do my best to protect Ibuki in their stead, till I passed away myself. Ibuki and I take the same path to school, so I promise that I'll take care of her. After enjoying the delicious food that Miss Toyama had prepared for us, and still holding the sugar apples that the 2 of them had shoved at us for dessert after dinner, Ibuki and I visited the park under the apartment to take a walk together. There wasn't a soul in sight. Not only that,
but there were only a couple of hurried pedestrians on the sidewalk, a short distance from us. The public cars, which had been equipped with automatic driving systems, were still operating as usual, but there were vanishingly few privately owned vehicles. A sight such as this was commonplace in areas struck by honeycomb amnesia syndrome. It'd take probably a month or so before everything slowly went back to normal. Sakura, is there any way to let Aya and Miho know everything without causing them to lose their memories? If anybody would know, it would be you as the beloved child, or the mother of humanity herself. But it's fine for things to stay the way they are with them, I think. After all, in the future, you'll definitely need someone who cares about you, but doesn't know about the strangeness around you to serve as your safe harbor. And Miss Toyama and Mr. K are the most suitable people in the whole universe for a responsibility such as this. I don't know. I don't want them to come to any danger, though. Don't worry. The Earth's a huge place, and the number of people who run into supernatural phenomena and then actually suffer any danger from them is vanishingly small. Most of these supernatural entities are just like me, just trying to eke out a living on this planet. Really? Okay, I'll listen to you then. After speaking, Ibuki reached a hand out to me. Have you ever used recall on me? I shook my head. Then take my hand. I want you, like Miho and Aya, to be able to understand me.
I wonder if this is dangerous. I wonder if this is dangerous for An to do.
I took Ibuki's hand with both my own, but I didn't use recall. Because recalls are so interconnected that with just a bit of focus, I can jump to pretty much anything I care to know about. If I recalled this table here, I'd learn about everyone who's ever walked past or sat down at this table.
Yeah, are we just in like an endless feedback loop of recalling? I wonder. But I feel like using recall on Ron is going to be something bad.
That's why I want to treasure this feeling that makes me want to understand you more. I could feel a small trembling in the palms of my hand. Ibuki nodded and showed me a rare smile, an expression which truly touched my heart. But for some reason, I felt like it wasn't the part of my heart that was responsible for positive sentiments. Perhaps I enjoyed seeing a confused or annoyed expression on Ibuki's face more. Well, it was her fault for looking so cute like that anyways. All right then. I guess I'll just have to bring you to slowly understand me the long way around. Ron led me to sit down at a bench in the park. The sun had warmed the bench, making it quite comfortable to sit down on. That, plus with the pleasant fullness in our stomach, made it a good time to sit down and have a long conversation. So what should we talk about first? Last time, we just got to when you first arrived in Japan. Why don't you tell me a bit more about Miss Toyama and Mr. K? Well, of course. So, let's start with that one incident.
An, have you heard?
What? I answered her half-heartedly. At the moment, my entire brain was filled with Ron's plans to visit Koizumi-sensei over the weekend. Half a month ago, Koizumi-sensei had told Ron that she was planning to reject the marriage that her parents had arranged for her. From that day on, she'd never come to school again, and Ron was growing more and more agitated because of it. Our math teacher, Koizumi-sensei, she's resigned her position. Is that so? I pretended to be surprised as I reached and touched her wrist, and immediately entered recall. The rumors she'd heard had already spread through the school. Through this, I was able to easily change the subject of the recall to Koizumi-sensei herself. The sight that I saw was sadly the opposite of what Ron had hoped for.
And I hear that she got pregnant before she even got married.
I stood and left the bewildered student there and headed right for Ron's class. Even though the start of the class bell was about to ring, there was no time to spare. I knew exactly how Ron would react when she heard the rumors going around. I had to be by her side. If the situation went badly, or if anybody wanted to hinder me, then I'd take out the bottled eclipse worm that I kept on me for emergencies like this and break it to summon the rains.
She carries a worm. She's armed with worm.
Ron. I saw Ron hugging her legs, sitting on a lone chair, her table overturned. The other students had backed off and left a wide circle around her. I could clearly hear what they were whispering to each other.
The eclipse worms were one of the very first completely batshit things Ron said that seemed completely nonsensical. I think it was in the first episode, so you missed that one. But I don't remember what the whole deal with them was, but they enwrap you in, like, void silk cocoons or some shit and steal your memories.
I pushed them out of the way and went to Ron's side, pulling her to her feet with the intention of taking her out of the classroom. Everyone knows I did it. They repeated the exact words I said to Koizumi-sensei to me. Even the table knew. The table spoke too. Ron clung tightly to my arm. Right now, she had little reason to spare and modulate in her strength, and she was gripping me very tightly. I could feel the tingling in my fingertips, signaling that blood flow in my arm had been cut off by the pressure. Ron, calm down. It's not your fault. I can hear Koizumi-sensei crying. Is she right behind me? I was worried that any sound at all would just become further torment for Ron at that point, so I didn't say anything at all and just dragged her to the nurse's office instead. The teacher on duty had apparently been informed of Ron's condition when Ron was first enrolled. She allowed me to help Ron over to the bed, while she gave Miss Toyama and Miss Takei a call. I sat by the side of the bed, holding tightly to Ron's hand. I understood very well that she might not be able to come back to school after this. Once her condition began to destabilize, recuperation would require a very long period of time, and it wasn't likely that she'd be able to keep attending classes. So just how much time did I have left with her? Ron, be good and take these pills from me, okay? I won't! Don't come close to me! Ron had curled herself up at the foot of the bed, sweating all over and staring at me with terrified eyes. After her illness worsened due to Koizumi-sensei's departure, I was just barely able to convince Miss Takei to allow Ron to continue to attend classes. Ron also is an alien, but doesn't know it, and her hallucinations are unconscious recalls. Interesting. The result was that she was only allowed to attend classes for half of the day, and I, on the other hand, became responsible for taking care of her at school, with the critical duty of making sure that she took her medication at noon as prescribed. But the mentally ill could fight medication to a degree that exceeded even my imagination. Once you take the medication, you can take a nap, and then after you wake up, we can go home together, okay? I'm not taking the medications. I'll never take anything you give me, not even water. Ryan had grown even more tense than before. Her toes fidgeted and grasped at the bedsheets while her eyes didn't stop turning every which way for even an instant.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I feel like a buckshot spaghetti wall approach is the way to go at the moment.
For a while, I'd been tricking Ron into taking her medication. For a while, I'd been tricking Ron into taking her medication by hiding it in her food to overcome her resistance. But eventually she found out, and once she did, it left her even more high-strung and paranoid. Ron, I just want you to get better quickly. I'm not sick! Why are you forcing me like this? I'm clearly the one being persecuted and bullied by them! Why should I be the one who has to take the medication? She took the phone at her side and threw it at nothing in particular. I turned my head and saw the screen of Ron's phone shatter. The photo she and I had taken together was now covered with cracks, and the center of the cracks was, by sheer coincidence, located right over my face.
Well, now we know how her screen got cracked in the before.
In actuality, the medical prescription had already long since run its course, but Ron's situation still showed no clear improvement. I was heartbroken and exhausted. No matter how many psychiatrists' memories I combed through with recall, the only thing that it brought me was endless astonishment about how different each individual patient's case could be. The only things I learned about which I could apply to Ron's situation were existing, proven medicines. No matter what, you have to keep taking your meds. After I said so, I put the olanzapine pill in my mouth and crawled onto the bed next to her.
What are you doing? Stay away from me!
I reached out and grabbed her by the arm. Ron struggled fiercely, trying to kick me away with her legs.
Don't come any closer! Don't!
While her mouth was open, I took the opportunity and pressed my own lips to them, and used my tongue to deliver the pill into her mouth. Ron choked and sobbed and shook her head, but gradually gave up on struggling. I waited until she'd fully calmed down before pulling my lips away and letting go of her hands. That was our first kiss. Clearly, this wasn't the kind of first kiss she wanted. Ron hugged her shoulders and turned her head away, tears running down her cheeks. I'm sorry, Ron. I retreated as far away as I could, and she hugged herself even tighter, leaning against the wall. Ron lowered her head. I couldn't see what expression she was making. Ron, why don't you take a day off from school tomorrow? Ron remained silent and unresponsive. I blinked my eyes, feeling like I was about to cry, but I did my best to bear it, and looked out through the window up towards the bright and cloudless blue sky. Summer's almost here. Once it's summer vacation, why don't we go out on a trip together? To the sea. How's that sound? Ron suddenly nodded her head and followed by speaking. Okay. Ron's condition had improved significantly, but she was still plagued by serious insomnia. Even at the seaside resort, she found it hard to fall asleep, so every night she and I would hold hands and take a long and meandering walk on the sands without another soul in sight. The bright moon reflected itself in the surface of the ink-black water. The pure white light was particularly eye-catching, and so we'd always stop our walks whenever we reached an optimal spot to moon gaze. At this moment, the only thing I was worried about was whether the ocean winds would ruin my carefully maintained hair. Are there aliens on the moon? It's possible. What about the sun?
The sun itself is one.
Ron nodded. I knew that she wasn't particularly interested in the answer. She just wanted to say something to me. She'd been like this ever since we saw the news about the female high schooler who had committed suicide at Shibuya Crossing today. Do you still want to talk about Makoto Asakura? Yeah. Ron held my hand with force. She'd been trying all day to ensure that I was accompanying She'd been trying all day to ensure that I was accompanying her by her side, and that I was paying attention to her. Why are you so willing to spend all this time with me? I don't know. I guess I just enjoy it. The first time I visited your house, I said so as well, didn't I? We ought to keep each other company. If Asakura had someone next to her who was to her like you were to me, then maybe she'd have lived on. I can't help but feel like she and I are very similar. If nobody was around to care for me, then maybe I'd make the same choice as her. In the recalls, I could see that Makoto Asakura had many people by her side who cared about her. None of it successfully moved her, though. Her problem seemed to be more fundamental in nature. It was unfortunate that I couldn't use my power on the deceased directly, but even if I could, there'd be no way to know what they were thinking.
You know it's serious. Ron got the Affliction t-shirt out. I love how just now we're starting to get alternate costumes, too. And they're all very good. On's a little sailor. Maybe what she needed wasn't just someone who cared about her, but rather someone like Yanagawara. Tama Indo's book mentioned something like that. Asakura needed to have some meaning granted to her life, something that could help her find a connection between her and the world. Maybe then she wouldn't have chosen to kill herself. Ron nodded to herself, seemingly convinced that she'd found the right answer. At that point, the waves grew slightly louder, and a wind blew in from the sea. The clouds in the night sky were brushed aside by the wind as well, and the light of the moon shone boundlessly over the beach. By that light, I looked towards Ron, and she at me as well, with an expression that seemed almost to be a smile, but not quite. I could tell, though, that she was embarrassed, because my expression was probably much the same. We'd thought of the same thing. I now seem to understand why our kind always eventually sought a way to extend our lifespan. Even now, I was hoping that I could spend more time with Ron. I wished that my life hadn't already passed its halfway point. I wished that Ron could love me more deeply than I loved myself. I wanted to become, in her heart, a figure of singular and irreplaceable primacy. Ron, why are you crying? I don't know. She was the beloved child, the mother of humanity. I still remembered the way that she elicited a unique feeling of attraction within me when we first met, and now churning within me was that same feeling all over again. Did I really love her? Or was it just like I'd seen in the recalls, how all living entities not created by the mother of humanity were irrevocably drawn towards the beloved child, condemned by their nature to try to win the beloved child's love and to try to achieve their own selfish goals? I don't know. An, is it your lifespan? Are you worried about your lifespan? An shook her head. Oh, wait, what? Have we flipped? I'm not worried. There's still 20 years left. As long as I can be with you, my life will be filled with meaning, without a second wasted. As I lied to her on one hand, I held her hand with the other. It's getting colder. Let's go back to our room. I'm sure you'll be able to sleep well tonight. As though to encourage me, Ron gripped my hand in response as well. With our fingers intertwined, we advanced forward together. The resort we'd checked into was an old residential building located near a seaside grove. This is the dorm. Apparently, after the owner had mysteriously disappeared for several years, their family had sold the building to its current proprietor, someone named Kinzo. Because of the remote location, the rumors involved, there were very few customers, which suited me perfectly. Do you feel sleepy? Even though Ron was yawning, she still shook her head. Then shall we go take another stroll somewhere? They said there was an observation deck here, didn't they? Ah, yes. I think they said it was on the 3rd floor. Let's go take a look. Ron and I arrived at the observation deck. This was a regular polygonal room with a broad view of the landscape outside the windows. Ron sat down beside the wall and turned her head to look at the sea of stars that filled the view outside the window. I, on the other hand, held her hand and looked only at her. An, we should come here more during the rest of our stay here, as well. Of course. If you'd like to come, you can come here any time. Just the nights will be enough. Ron closed her eyes and leaned against my shoulder and fell asleep before too long.
The way she turned and tossed restlessly every night distressed me, but for some reason she entered a deep sleep and steady slumber this time. Looks like I really do need to come here to stargaze more often. Good night, Ron.
Oh, right, we lost an arm once. I remember this now. An! It hurts so much! An! Help me!
The air was full of the smell of fetid water, but was far from being able to cover the stench of blood. Ron's screams mixed with the sound of rain echoing over the rooftop. I gasped in panic, feeling like I was about to hurl.
You my beloved child, help me.
Before my eyes was a bizarre organism, a puddle of quicksilver blood mixed with decaying chunks of flesh. It was clearly on its last legs. And its bizarre blood splashed onto me. The strange substance, halfway between solid and liquid, had congealed into irregular shapes on my body. This was much like its fundamental nature, just a mass of black hair which changed forms based on the expectations of the conscious beings around it, constantly switching between solid, liquid, and gaseous states.
Beloved child.
It spoke atonally, but its voice sounded like a mixture between mine and Ron's.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Which filled me with disgust.
An, please save me. Miss Sakura, please.
Trembling, I turned my head. Ron was slumped on the floor. Her left arm had been torn off at the elbow, and I could spot shredded muscle and shattered bone in the wound. She wept and sobbed uncontrollably from the sheer pain, and had scraped her legs red with her repeated wild kicking against the floor. A whole puddle of blood had formed under the remnants of her left arm. It had only taken a few seconds for that thing to It had only taken a few seconds for that thing to pounce on Ron and devour her arm. If I could have just been a bit more.
Miss Sakura, my hand, it hurt so much.
It's fine, Ron. It's fine. I'll take you to the hospital. I bent down and picked her up. Ron sobbed inconsolably, repeating her pleas towards Miss Sakura.
My hand, Miss Sakura, it hurts so much. What do we do? Help me.
Everything is fine. I'll help you. To the beings which had been defined by the Mother of Humanity as supernatural, the beloved child was a temptation that far exceeded my imagination.
Pancakes, do you remember when Ron said that she lost her arm? We're finding out how. It got eaten by a pile of hair. The answer to the question, what the fuck, remains, I don't fucking know, dude.
I had been naive enough to believe that I was the only one who knew that the new beloved child was Ron, that what had brought this suffering down, that was what had brought this suffering down upon us. This is only the beginning. They'll keep coming and they'll never stop, not until they take Ron away from me for good. Ron, don't worry. I'll protect you. Don't worry.
Uh-oh.
Ron's hand had been ripped away entirely by the thing that had attacked us. Even though the wound had healed, the shirt sleeve of that arm remained empty. I didn't inform Miss Takei or Miss Toyama about that incident. Instead, I lied to them, telling them that Ron and I were still enjoying our summer vacation together in a different location. Will it hurt, Hon? Ron laid on the bed, clutching my wrist with a death grip, using only her remaining hand. Don't worry. She'll inject you with a tranquilizer. Once you wake up, your left hand will have regrown.
Yes, 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 yes! Mr. Blood Sculptor is fucking real! I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I picked up the blood sculptor and placed them next to Ron's severed hand, and then took out some glass jars from my backpack. Inside them were 2 liters of blood from the same person. I nodded to the blood sculptor's owner, and she nodded and began to commune with the big cat. It wasn't the first time I'd come here, so the blood sculptor generously allowed me to stroke its head. At the same time, its owner began preparing the tranquilizer. It seemed that the 2 liters of blood would be sufficient. All right, it's time. Just close your eyes and go to sleep. Okay. Will you keep me company? Well, of course. I'm not going anywhere. Ron closed her eyes in satisfaction. I waited until the tranquilizer had taken effect before I gently pulled Ron's fingers away from mine and entered the next room. There, I laid down on the recliner and took out the item I'd asked the blood sculptor's owner to help me prepare beforehand. I injected it all into my bloodstream and closed my eyes, waiting for it to spread throughout my entire body. I wanted to protect Ron. I wanted her to be able to escape her status as the beloved child of the mother of humanity and survive doing so. I wanted to be together with her forever, and at the same time, I wanted to know if my love for her was just the effect of the beloved child. For this reason, I needed to understand everything about this planet. Well then, let's start the recall. Ron slowly and blearily opened her eyes. Soon, though, that gave way to a surprised expression as she raised her left hand and experimentally flexed it a few times before grasping at the air with it. On! My hand! My hand's really come back! Well, of course. Ron immediately used her newly regenerated left hand to caress my face, poking and prodding it, squeezing my nose, pulling my ears, and finally ending by stroking my lips. Thank you, On. Oh, it's nothing. I've been missing that hand of yours more than you have. Ron smiled in embarrassment, and I discovered that I had long since fallen in love with her delighted expression as well. It was also equally cute. But what's wrong with your face? It felt like I was touching a plaster cast just now while I was feeling it. I'll be fine in a bit. Don't worry about it. I used my apparently plaster-like fingers to poke her face in return. Ron, I understand what it means to be the beloved child now. I'll make sure you'll be able to leave behind this terrible identity and escape. What? On, what did you do? Ron held my hand tightly, with only concern left in her eyes. I have recalled 4.6 billion years and experienced the entirety of the mother of humanity's experiences. Oh, that seems like a good way to go bug fuck insane. I've recalled the entire history of the Earth. The mother was originally just a consciousness that came into being concurrently with the Earth itself. She was incapable of thought, and without a nervous system, she only had basic stimulus sensitivity, the way that plants did. Except her reactions to stimuli caused the origins of species, transformations in the climate, and plate tectonics, all the way until 1.8 million years ago, when humanity was born. With humanity's birth, she gained self-awareness and became capable of reason, and gained emotions. Well, even before humanity, there existed creatures with rudimentary reasoning and emotive capabilities, but only Homo sapiens was an intelligent species capable of sustaining the mother's self-awareness for her. The mother of humanity was overjoyed about this, and became fiercely protective of the human race. To shelter them, she appeared before all things on the earth, which had not been created by her own stimulus reaction, and declared herself the mother of humanity to them. But 2,000 years ago, she suddenly grew sick of this. 1.8 million years of nurturing humans had caused her to grow exhausted, but she couldn't bear to completely let go. So she began trying to find a being who could inherit the position of mother from her. So the so-called beloved child is someone who has the potential to inherit her position?
That's right. But for some reason, no beloved child has succeeded for the last 2,000 years. I suppose the conditions required must be extremely strict, and she herself probably can't fully control it either. But, she's got plenty of time. She can afford to be patient. Ah, we've arrived. Here it is. Oop. I hit a button on my keyboard and everything minimized. Oops. I'd brought Ron to the village I'd lived in when I was young. After navigating the forest trails and the mountain tunnels, we arrived at an abandoned old school. My father had once told me that his grandfather had once served as a teacher here, and that in his quest to find a way to extend his life, he had discovered a certain object that might prove useful to me, which he had left in the school. Looks like it's been abandoned for ages. The village at the base of this mountain feels pretty old, too. And the old lady that's been taking care of us these past few days, you called her your granny? Oh, well, she's not related to me by blood. After all, we can't live to the age where we can see our grandchildren show up in front of us. She's an earthling, but she took of my father when he was growing up, and she also took care of me when I was young, so I call her my granny. And she's a very strong woman. In Recall, I saw what she'd experienced many twists and turns in her life. She didn't cry, even when my mother and father passed away. I wonder if Granny could cry when I passed away. She didn't seem to like me much. She'd intentionally interrupt me whenever I started talking. I think she's mad that her beloved granddaughter got seduced by such a gloomy and untrustworthy character such as yourself. I didn't, though. Ron lowered her head and hugged my arm. Ever since the arm-severing incident, Ron's personality had changed slightly. We'd already been quite physically intimate before that, of course, but Ron was still insistent on playing hard to get, verbally, at least. Now it seemed she constantly hoped for attention from me, and sought for me to share more and more of my emotions with her. Of course, I wouldn't begrudge her the intimacy she sought. We have so little time left together that there was no point in wasting any of it. I'd use it all as well as I could, and keep it close to my heart. Let's go. The lock to the school gate had long since broken, and I easily pushed the door open. The main entrance was covered with dust. The wooden shoe cabinets were in shambles, and looked as though they'd crumble at a single touch. After that, a left turn brought us to a long wooden hallway. I raised my hand and touched the wall, feeling the roughness of the texture through my fingertips. Ron, do you smell that? I quite like the smell of this wood. Yeah, I was expecting it to smell like rotten decay. I hadn't expected it to smell this nice. I know, right? My mood improved a little, and I pulled Ron into a hug. What's the matter? Nothing, I just really wanted to give you a hug. Ron raised her arm and embraced my shoulder as well. She was growing quickly. Since the day we'd met, she'd already gotten a whole head taller than me. I pressed my head to her neck, hearing the gentle pulse of Ron's heartbeat. Ron, you gotta promise me that you'll live a long and happy life, okay? Of course. We'll live on happily together. I nodded and broke the embrace. We passed through the hallway and came to a broken stairwell. In the recalls, I'd seen that the object had been stored in a secret compartment right next to the stairwell. But that had been over 50 years ago. Hopefully no one had removed it since then. Kneeling with one leg, I searched the floor and discovered the switch. Immediately after, I was met by a cloud of dust. As I coughed, I swept the dust aside. It ought to be right down here. Originally, the school building's plans had mandated that there be only one storage room on every floor. Afterwards, the students had felt it was inconvenient, so they dug out an additional underground storage room next to the stairs. I reached out and easily found the box I'd seen in the recall. Let me. Ron carried the box I indicated out and placed it in the corridor. After that, she bent over and used a penknife to cut through the transparent tape binding the box. After opening up the cardboard, we found all sorts of old stationery supplies lying inside, and there, lying under a protractor, was a notebook with a scarlet cover. I found it. I reached out and took the notebook. Not a single speck of dust stained it. The pages were perfectly white, as though they were new. Is that what we've been looking for? Yep. With it, all of our problems can be solved now. Come with me. Evil book. Evil book. It's the journal. Before I'd come here, I hadn't told Ron what I wanted with the notebook for, and she didn't know that my great-grandfather was right now stored within the notebook. That was the method he'd found for extending his lifespan. From the moment I'd laid my hands on the notebook, he'd begun speaking to me. He'd said that he could use the notebook to engage in recall and thus experience the lives of many people. His reason for wanting to live was so that he could go many more places in the world and see many more things. Stored in this eternally pristine notebook, he could tour this world forever and even meet me, his great-granddaughter. Han, what's the notebook able to do? If I opened my mouth now, my great-grandfather in the notebook would surely hear. But it didn't matter. There was nothing he could do about it anyways. I've been thinking for a long time why none of the beloved children have become the new mother up until now. It must be because none of them were capable of casting their vision over the entire world, the way that a mother could, instead of focusing on mere individuals. I'm not sure I follow. It's okay. You don't need to. Just listen to me. Besides that, the mother clearly doesn't want a non-human life form to become her successor. This is simple to understand, isn't it?
So the notebook is her great-grandfather. Oops. Oh, no, we're good. We're good. Nope, we're not. I accidentally triggered ads. It's fine. It's about that time for ads anyway, so. Oops. I meant to snooze them and I clicked run them. I'm a fool. So do we think she's gonna transplant her great-grandfather out of the book? And has the book been this on the entire time? Then who the fuck is on in the little pocket dimension that Ron is in? You can see my fallen lung. I'm really looking forward to their weird Stardew-like that they're gonna be doing. Looks so cool. Look at this little creepus. No, Myth, I accidentally hit run ads. Oh yeah, very fair. Understandable. I don't know if you can even see me right now or if you can just see the chat and are getting ads. But I'm really looking forward to Mandrake. Her tattoo. Really? No cannibalism and other frequently asked questions. You know you have a brand when... Okay. We're going back to the Chrono Jotter. The ads are done. I apologize for that very abrupt ad transition for everybody who is watching. And we are back. They announced it recently. It's by the Fallen London team. But they're pivoting out of the Fallen London universe into a whole new thing, and it's a Stardew-like kind of deal. And I'm very looking forward to it. Yeah, my suspicion is that there's still cannibalism. Anyway. Back to interrogating this notebook that is on Sakura's great-grandfather. Besides that, the mother clearly doesn't want a non-human life form to become her successor. This is simple to understand, isn't it? Ron nodded, her grip on me strengthening slightly. In the end, you still can't escape the position of the beloved child. Then, in the end, if you still can't escape the position of the beloved child, then I'll need to protect you the whole time, so that you can live a full and complete life. But I won't be able to, because I'm about to lose my power of recall. Not to mention, my lifespan itself won't permit me to accompany you the whole time. Yeah, she's gonna supplant her grandfather. The notebook can solve all of those problems. My great-grandfather seemed to have figured out what I was planning to do. He screamed into the depths of my brain, ordering me to put him back where I found him. I still don't get how to use the notebook, though. You don't need to worry. Just leave it to me, Ron. I found an iron barrel in the garbage pile and dragged it out to the lawn outside the schoolhouse, where I raised it above the ground and by setting it upon some stones. The barrel was quite tall. I wouldn't have to worry about any sparks leaping out of the barrel that way. My great-grandfather's shouting turned into weeping. He began to plead with me, telling me that he didn't want to die. Me neither, I said to him quietly, before tossing the notebook into the metal drum, lighting a match, and setting the notebook on fire. On. Relax. The notebook won't be damaged by the fire. The temperature of the barrel gradually rose, and hot air emanated from it. For some reason, I started feeling like I couldn't breathe. I thought I'd already resolved myself before this, but to find my determination again, I looked up towards Ron, who was watching the flames. Her eyes reflected the bright orange light, but her expression was full of confusion. I couldn't tell her that I was planning to do until I was about to do it. She'd never go along with it otherwise. I waited until the terrible screaming echoing in my mind had finally fully faded before I poured a bucket of water into the barrel. Then I raised myself to my tiptoes to look at the notebook. It was completely unharmed. In fact, not a single drop of water had even clung to its pages. Taking it out, I found that it had actually gotten a bit thicker than it had previously been. Apparently, my great-grandfather had ripped a few pages out at some point. Wow, that's incredible, Ron. So what is it exactly? It's a container, Ron. It's a container that can hold absolutely anything. The most secure lockbox in the whole universe. I gently stroked the cover. Its uneven texture reminded me of the walls of the old schoolhouse. It can even contain a soul. I took out the knife that I'd prepared, and then I took Ron's hand and lightly cut open all the fingertips of her right hand. Ron was very calm and didn't resist at all. It's a little extravagant to use such a large knife to make a few shallow cuts on her fingertips. Hopefully Ron won't get suspicious. Crimson blood began seeping out, and I quickly flipped to an empty page in the notebook and placed her hand on it, letting her blood stain the pages. It worked exactly the way I'd seen it work in the recalls, just as I'd expected. The newly cleared notebook needed to confirm its new owner before it could have something stored within it. The blood seeping from Ron's fingertips wasn't absorbed by the pages, but rather quickly congealed onto it, forming a bloody mark. There. The notebook belongs to you now. Okay. And then? Well, what comes next is
I suddenly felt a tear flow down my face. Ron panicked a little and immediately reached up to help wipe my face. On? Perhaps I'd overestimated my own resolve. But I didn't want to leave her just yet. I wanted to hug her again. Ron, I don't want to. There wasn't any more need for testing anymore. The feelings I felt for her clearly couldn't have anything to do with her being the beloved child. I just wanted to keep holding her hand. Stay with her. It's fine. I'm okay. Don't worry. I gave Ron a smile, and my tears obediently stopped disrupting my emotions. Ron, listen to me calmly. After this, I'm going to enter the notebook, and by placing your finger on the notebook as a signal, you'll be able to trigger it to activate my recall ability. There'll be a lot of limitations, but this way, you will still possess a power that only non-humans can possess. What? Shush. Keep listening. The notebook will never be damaged. Even in here, I'll be able to keep talking to you. It'll be like I'm keeping you company forever. Talk to me? But that solves 2 of the 3 problems that we just spoke of. Finally, I need you to never concern yourself with this world. But as the beloved child who's bound to come into contact with the supernatural, I imagine you won't be able to help yourself. And we'll try to do something anyways. So I'm going to help you out by concentrating all of your attention onto a single, small, focused point forever. I sat down on the ground and opened the notebook to a blank page. Ron, don't be so sad. I'll always be by your side. I turned the handle of the knife and used the blade to cut open my own neck. It hurt much more than I was expecting it to hurt. On! What are you doing? Ron kneeled in front of me, grabbing onto me, trying to stop me, but I used my left hand to seize her wrist. I have to do this. I used every bit of strength I had to push the blade of the knife deeper into my neck, but at the same time using force meant that my muscles would tense as well, and cutting them open hurt so much it made me cry. But the blood ceaselessly flowing from my arteries were instantly absorbed when they came into contact with the pages of the notebook, and even the blood that had spilled onto the lawn was being pulled towards the notebook as though by gravity. Seeing this gave me a measure of peace. On, don't! I'm begging you, stop! I can live together with you even if you can't protect me forever. As long as we can be together, it'll be okay. I'm begging you, don't leave me. I want to be with you. Miss Sakura, please. The blood flowed quickly. I wanted to say something, but found I didn't have the strength for it anymore. I forced myself to smile, trying to reassure her. Miss Sakura, what'll I do without you? I had always liked that particular form of address, which Ron only used when she was mentally unsteady and pleading with me. That her that was calling out to me like that was truly extremely adorable. I can't bear it, Miss Sakura. There's no way I could... The hand that I had pressed to her face trembled, and I greedily immersed myself in the sensation of that last bit of warmth. Don't, Miss Sakura, Ranabuki. Oh, my beloved. Miss Sakura, Darkness before my eyes grew more and more severe, and I found that I could no longer make Ron's voice clearly. I felt like there was something far away, pulling me, making me come closer to it. That was probably the notebook, right? That was good. Once I died, Ron couldn't possibly concern herself with the world or whatever. She'd only focus on me. Definitely. For sure.
I don't think this went right.
Good night. See you tomorrow, Ron. Truly. I love you.
Oh, I can look at terms now. Mr. Blood Sculptor. The Eclipse Silkworms. Oh yeah, they ate light. That was the deal with them. Okay. So first thing we're gonna do here now is do the opposite of loading and save. In the epilogue. Yeah, we were at endgame. I'm gonna go to the Ansakura in my notebook first. We just finished that thread. I want to see where this is going. Ron bolted upright from the bed. Without a moment of hesitation, she grabbed the notebook and the weapon that had been used to kill her and kneeled to the floor. Miss Sakura, I'm coming to see you now. With her right hand, she held the blade to her neck and pressed it abruptly with her left. Ron performed the same act that I'd done. Oh, we're still on. With her right hand, she held the blade to her neck and pressed it in abruptly with her left. Ron performed the same act that I'd done when I'd entered the notebook and severed her own neck artery, letting the blood pour out towards the notebook. Miss Sakura, I'm coughing up blood. Ron dropped the knife to the floor. With her blood-red fingers, she incessantly stroked the pages of the notebook. Soon, I'll be able to see you. In here. Her blood was entirely absorbed by the notebook. After a few minutes, her body lost its strength and collapsed into a puddle of blood, and she died once again. Ron opened her eyes. She was lying in her dorm room's bed with all the other students surrounding her in her room. Ibuki-san, what happened? We were all shocked when we saw at the morgue you'd killed yourself. If you really want to imitate me, I'd recommend you wait until you draw the culprit card yourself. Ron Ibuki was stunned. She looked all around herself before finally settling on An's face. It was at this point that I suddenly realized with astonishment that I could no longer perceive Ron's thoughts anymore. Her internality was nothing but dead stillness. I'm fine. I must have been overwhelmed by the memories of how I died the first time. Miss Sakura, are you all right? I'm all right, of course. You? I think I'm fine. Maybe staying here isn't such a bad idea after all. Ranchan? What's going on? Sounding a bit off. Maybe you should take a bit more time to recuperate? Ron shook her head. Nah, it's nothing. I was just thinking about how I've actually been having a lot of fun during my time here. Well, Ibuki, even though I'm not sure what kind of epiphany you've had exactly, you can do exactly as you please. Ron nodded, laid back, and closed her eyes again. After my suicide, Ron found herself unable to bear the shock, and her mind slipped into disorder unlike anything ever before. She began consuming the pages of the notebook, believing that doing so would allow her to establish some kind of connection with me. Even though it did have beneficial effects on her, it also resulted in the slow disappearance of my personality. At this point, I am merely an entity which possesses An Sakura's memories. My mission is to protect her and enable her to do anything that she wants to do without being hindered by anybody, including myself. If she has decided that she would rather stay in this place, if she has decided to give up on finding a way to revive me, then I will not hinder her. I will always be at your side, Anabuki. All right, let's go to the other ending. And go to the An Sakura of this school. On. I sat up from the metal frame, the memories of my mind fully clarified, freed of the mists that had shrouded them. Tears rolled down my face. As I shook my head, I turned my trembling body towards the stand next to the metal-framed bed, where the notebook was resting. An was already dead.
I'd been traveling the world for the last 4 years for the sake of reviving her, merely in the hopes of finding any sort of anomaly that had to do with reviving the dead. But in this attempt, had also been a failure. The on here wasn't my beloved. I hugged the notebook to my bosom, my tears falling onto its cover with splashing sounds, making it seem as though the notebook itself was crying as well. Even though I remained the beloved child of the mother of humanity, An had still achieved 2 of her goals. Not only was she always protecting me, but she had also kept me eternal company. But I still wish I could embrace you. I crossed my arms and gripped my shoulders tightly and lowered my head, curling in on myself, the notebook tucked into my chest, bending slightly. The sounds of my weeping echoed in the empty morgue. I struggled to calm myself, wanting to leave before the rest of them came to find me. Sniffling, I rose from the bed and unfolded the folded uniform next to me. Not only was there no blood on it, but even the hole the knife had left in it was restored. I saw my phone off to the side and reached out to turn it on. The photo nearly made me start crying again, and I quickly tapped past and entered the address book to send a text to An. So be it then. I put on my uniform, left the morgue, and headed back to the resort that Miss Sakura and I had once checked into. Who is Yoruno? We never got her backstory. An looked like she didn't quite know how to react to me, probably because I hadn't immediately pounced on her the way I did before. Ron, what's wrong? As soon as she spoke, my longing for Miss Sakura redoubled itself again, and I had to raise my hands to cover my mouth to keep myself from crying out loud. Recovering my memories had stripped the last vestiges of my abilities to suppress my longing for An from me. I bit my lower lip and to control my feelings. An, on the other hand, clenched her hands tightly together, resting them on her thighs as she pointed the tips of her toes together, all of which were completely different habits from the ones held by the true An. I want to say some things to you. Maybe you won't understand, but I hope you'll listen to me. An nodded, staring at me attentively, another expression that the real her would never have shown. I furrowed my brows tightly to keep the tears from flowing out, and began to speak. After you killed me, I managed to regain most of my memories. The real An is already dead. An seemed rather calm after she heard me say that. She didn't ask me what exactly she meant by that, or who the person sitting in front of me was in that case. She'd always liked to mess with me, toying with me or jerking me around. And she was a little selfish too. For the sake of doing what she wanted, she could disregard the wishes of pretty much everybody who wasn't me, and I often couldn't figure out what she was thinking. But she truly loved me, and I her. I bit my lip again, but it was of no use. The tears had already spilled. You're good to me, as well. More gentle and kind, and also ready to make some sacrifices for my sake like her, and you're still alive. Perhaps you are the perfect An Sakura who only existed in my heart. But the An I loved became one with the notebook for the sake of protecting me, and though I could hear her speaking to me at first, in that state of unbearable suffering immediately after her suicide, I couldn't bear something like that. So I ate a massive amount of paper from the notebook as though doing something like that would help An come out from the notebook. At least, it helped stabilize me psychologically. And the result was that the An from the notebook slowly began to lose herself, becoming part of the consciousness that retained only her memories, which existed purely for the sake of protecting Ranabuki. But that's all secondary. No matter what the cause, as long as An isn't by my side, I have to keep looking for her, even if she's already gone. I did my best to express a determined attitude, speaking these pre-planned lines like I'd actually found any sort of resolve, but it couldn't stop the tears. I'd always been a weak and fragile person, and right there in front of me was a blood and flesh An. She had the warmth and could embrace me, could stroke my hair and kiss me. So how could I want to stay here so much. I sank to the floor, raising a hand and gripping tightly to Anne's wrist. I miss you so much. Anne, I want to be with you. I've suffered so much just to make it as long as I have. You are the closest I've seen in the whole last 4 years, the person who seems most like An. You won't suddenly collapse into a puddle of fleshy sludge or wear An's face only to speak with a nauseating voice. You can speak and you're capable of loving me. I want to stay here and be with you, An. But I can't. But please, I'm begging you, let me give up on you. Let me leave and keep searching for a way to revive An. Even if you have to, turn into a monster right now, or something. I'm begging you, Miss Sakura. I can't keep staying here. I felt her bend over and embrace me. She embraced me so tightly, just like that final time that An embraced me as well. I'm sure that An was very happy to have received such love from you. If it were possible, I wish I could become the An that you carry in your heart for you. But I can't do something like that, because I have my own life as well. I do not want to become a replacement product or turn into a paltry imitation of someone else. An spoke with a bit of a hitch in her own voice as well. I gently pushed her away and we looked each other in the eyes. The first time I saw you, I felt like I couldn't leave you to your own devices, because you needed someone to take care of you so desperately. And you held such strong feelings for me that I felt like I wanted to respond to you somehow. But I had never expected that you actually didn't need anyone to care for you. What you needed was An Sakura, but that's not me. And I can't deceive you by disguising myself as An for your sake. I'm sorry, Ron. I can't fall in love with you. An wiped my tears away, and I did the same, wiping away the tears on her face with a finger. It was almost inconceivable how such a simple motion was able to calm me down entirely, leaving only the single tear that was sliding down An's finger to the back of her hand. Thank you. This was the best answer you could have given me from my perspective. It's enough to let me set down everything here. I hope it won't leave any burdens on you, either. What will you do after this, Ron? I stood up, and An followed as well. Only then did some indecision surface in her eyes. I'm going to leave this place. It's possible that my departure may cause some changes in the fundamental nature of this place, but this place was clearly a realm that only existed for my sake. If I were to cease to exist here, the other girls would also be transformed in some way as well, perhaps. But it wouldn't have any impact on the outside world at all, so no matter what, the things that happened here would be meaningless. The suffering that Koizumi-sensei and Asakura went through won't have changed because of anything I did for them here. So what happens after that is also meaningless. I don't know what exactly you mean by leaving here, but no matter where you're going, you won't forget what happened here, right? The things that you said and did for Hinata out of guilt, the way that you helped Makoto change? Even if you don't think that means anything to them, what about for yourself? Me? It was true that I'd never attempted to make up for Koizumi-sensei, and that I'd never even had an opportunity to get to know Asakura, but my deeds here had given me the opportunity to explore all kinds of alternative possibilities, and let me understand them far more. Just like how, even though I could only watch the recalls, I was indeed experiencing them as well. Is that the meaning that the power of recall brings me? Maybe you're right. Maybe these events do have some meaning to me. But I will need time to prove that. Perhaps I'll be able to see the impact of these experiences on me in time, once I depart from this place. Even if she wasn't the real An, she was still easily able to dissolve my confusion and give inspiration unto me. It only made my longing for An, which had never once receded, redouble in strength. Goodbye, Ron. I hope you can find the real An Sakura. Thank you, An. I'm truly very happy that I could meet you in this place. I stood at the edge of the swimming pool looking at the water. There wasn't a single ripple on it at the moment. It was flat as the surface of a mirror. What is it, Ibuki? Asking to meet privately with Sakura and then asking to meet me privately? Do you have something major planned or what? Yuruno. I wanted to make some light conversation or maybe crack some jokes to help break the ice, but then I thought there wasn't a point. If my reasoning is right, then no matter what kind of ridiculous ideas I proposed to her, Yuruno would always believe me and support me. Yuruno, I've recovered the vast majorities of my memories. I understand why I come here. I understand why I've come here, as well as what's happened to An. When An killed herself in front of me, we were in our 3rd year in high school. I spent the 4 years after that trying to find a way to revive her. And during the period of time between my first meeting with An and An's death, I came into contact with everyone in this school in one way or another. Other than you. So I'm pretty sure that right now I'm actually 22, and I met you only after An died, which is why there's no trace of you in the memories I've recovered thus far. More importantly, in this 4-year journey, pretty sure you kept me company. We must have spent these 4 years together. As she listened to me speak, Yuruno fidgeted with her bracelet. Maybe that was how she showed her nervousness. Ibuki, I'll be honest, I don't have a damn clue what you're talking about. All that stuff about being 22 years old, or Sakura already being dead, but it doesn't matter. Yuruno smiled at me. Her expression put me at ease. It's a bit embarrassing to say it like this, but I don't care what your plans are. Just tell me what I can help you with, and I'll help you. Like, how do I put it? I feel like if it's for you, then anything is okay. It's weird, since we've clearly only just met not too long ago, but it's the same with me. The first person I saw in the whole school was you, and you're probably the one I trust the most, too. Whenever I found myself unsure, you always tried your best to find a way to help me. I turned and pointed at the pool and continued. Maybe you don't even like swimming all that much, and you've been spending all your time here to indicate something to me. Now you're just trying too hard. I really do like swimming. Yeah? I guess I could see that if it's you we're talking about. Yuruno walked to my side without speaking. I've had a blast during my time here, all things considered. But it's probably about time that I take my leave. I've got to meet the adorable Indo and witness how she discovered the inspiration to write. I've got to meet Miho and Aya in their youth, and even helped them with a relationship issue as a small way to repay them for all the effort they've put into raising me, I suppose. I got to meet a living Asakura, and even though it was only the start, but I was able to touch her heart, and understanding how even someone as deep in nihilism as her can survive so long as they find someone who can give their life meaning. I got a chance to see Koizumi-sensei slowly build her confidence, and even though there's no way I can make up for my past mistakes, I've still been shown a small glimmer of hope. Perhaps if I could enter her life more deeply, there's still a chance that I could help Koizumi-sensei become the person she wants to be. And I got to see An. I lowered my head and cried quietly. Got to meet An, even though... Well, no. It's enough. I felt Yuruno put a hand on my shoulder. I raised my own and placed it on the back of her head as well. Her hand as well. Wait. Hand on my shoulder. Back of her head. On the back of her hand as well. And last of all, there's you. If I've been with you for these last 4 years, then I must trust you a lot. That's the kind of person I am, isn't it? Yuruno nodded, failing to hide a rare touch of gloom in her own expression. I'm looking forward to learning just how we got to know each other. I gave the back of Yuruno's hand a pat. Then I bent and stared into the water's surface. As I remembered all the experiences I'd had with everyone here, I reached out and touched the water with a finger. And in an instant, the pool turned into the starry sky. What is this? I was correct then. I'd noticed it that day when I'd helped Yuruno clean the pool. Thank you, Yuruno. Goodbye. Wait! Yuruno grabbed me by my arm, pulling me back from the water. She was very strong, and almost caused me to fall. Sorry. It's fine. What's up with you? I don't know, but can't you just stay here? See, I'm here, An's here. Everyone else is here too, aren't they? I can keep cooking your favorite foods for you. You can stay here and keep playing detective games. Right? Yuruno, don't say something like that. I took a step backwards, shrinking away from her, tears beginning to form in my eyes again. If I stayed here, time would surely progress as usual. We'd graduate from this school and go to some city or another and slowly grow up and eventually grow old. And I'd definitely get to be with An for all that time. A future like this would be absolutely wonderful. But it's not the one I can choose. It's a future where only I get to be happy. I bent over and cried until I couldn't breathe anymore. The real An died for me, and Miho and Aya will need me to take care of them after they get old, and there's another you waiting on the outside for me to leave this place. So, please, don't say things like that to me. I really will lose my resolve. All right. I won't say any more then. Get on out of here and go do what you gotta do. Yuruno helped me up and wiped away my tears, much more roughly than An did. According to you, there's another me on the outside waiting for you. With her there to take care of you, I'm sure I won't have to worry at all. As I wiped my tears, I laughed out loud and nodded. You're totally right. With you around, I'm sure there's nothing I need to worry about. I took a deep breath and showed as cheerful of an expression to Yuruno as I could. But all it seemed to do was amuse her. But that was good enough. I turned and stepped into the stars. Spots of starlight appeared in the darkness, but their radiance seemed not to touch me. I raised my hand but saw nothing. I lowered my head but couldn't find my body either, just an indistinguishable blackness. All around, a vast starscape gradually appeared. They were like images on a tapestry, giving off no real illumination. I felt solidity under my feet. I was standing on the ground. I bent down and used my hands to feel the floor beneath me. I found that I was standing on a set of stairs. It seemed that, if I followed these steps and advanced forward, that I would be able to reach my destination. I stood up and began moving without hesitation, even though I couldn't see a single thing except the vacuous starscape all around me. I was confident that the stairs weren't always there, but rather that they would appear wherever I stepped. My footsteps echoed, but beside that, no other sounds could be heard. I couldn't even hear the sounds of my own breathing. Just how much longer did I have to walk? I wondered, but felt no tedium, because I could see the ever-shifting galaxies before me, and watch strange stellar bodies known and unknown to me in their processions. Here, perhaps, I could see the entire cosmos. If I turned and headed towards one of those distant stars, would I arrive there instead? Ranabuki. The voice of the notebook rose in my ear. She was warning me, reminding me not to forget the conditions that would cause me to become the mother of humanity. It's okay. I concentrated my attention to my feet and tried to run downwards. Soon, I'd left the stars behind, high up in the night sky where they belonged. Then the sound of the revolving stars rose again. There was something approaching me, but I ignored it and kept descending. Ranabuki, would you give control of your body to me? No worries, I'll handle it.
Sick. Something massive appeared at my side, its head taking up nearly my entire field of vision. It had no ocular organs, but it was quite obvious that it was watching me. Why do you insist on departing? All of your most important memories, all of the people for whom you care the most, are all fully gathered here. The intellectual games of which you are so fond, and a life balanced on the edge of danger and excitement. How can you yet remain dissatisfied? Ansakura, she too is in this place.
Its voice was emotionless.
Okay, you could have given me that line note beforehand, but...
Its voice was emotionless, and its head had no muscles with which it could express emotions, but it was clearly in despair, and its words were that of pleading. Thank you for letting me see On, and letting me confirm again the strength of my feelings. I have to leave this place, and keep searching for a way to bring On back, no matter what.
I implore you to help me escape the path of the lost, to borrow the aid of the Mother of Humanity and help me return to my homeland.
I looked up at the entity's core, at the spiral galaxy contained therein, and thought I saw that it had an expression similar to mine. Perhaps it had always been trying to convey its feelings, just in a different way from what we were used to.
I can no longer sustain my form. I trapped you in this location to attract the attention of the Mother, or perhaps you, after you replace her, can lend me what aid you can.
The Mother won't bother herself with me. She has far too much time and can afford to keep waiting as long as she needs. You shouldn't put your hopes in me. I will not become the next mother. You should wait for the next beloved child.
What if becoming the mother would allow the revival of Ansakura?
Well, that's just reversing the means and ends. What I need is not just a living Ansakura, but the ability to be able to be together with An. The sound of revolving stars slowly weakened. The entity continued hovering before me, but it didn't seem to want to speak again. Soon, spots of starlight began appearing before me again in the darkness, but different from before. I felt like my whole body was soaked with water, as though I was under the sea, not interrupting my ability to breathe easily, of course. It seemed as though I would arrive soon. Would you tell me your name?
I have no name that your language can speak. From the mouth of the first human I encountered, I learned the true nature of your language. He named himself a poet of Thrace, and sang for me, but he bestowed no name upon me.
A Thracian poet? I see. I'll come up with a name for you.
No matter what, don't forget me.
If you possess the power, then please help me. I won't. Thank you for giving me the chance to meet them. I raised my hand, wiping aside the invisible fluid before my eyes, as a beam of dim light appeared not far away. This beam of light shone on me in truth. By its luminance I could see my fingers. It was real light. I couldn't help but speed up and run forwards, reaching out and frantically brushing aside the rest of the star-draped fluids. Suddenly, I couldn't help but cough as my previously free breathing suddenly became obstructed. I reflexively opened my mouth, but only felt water rushing down my throat, and realized that I was experiencing asphyxiation. No, drowning. I raised my hands trying to find the surface of the water to take a breath, but all of these efforts were met with failure. I struggled, accompanied by the sound of the bubbles. No, there was another sound.
Ibuki!
I reached desperately towards the sound. By then, the water in my trachea had almost reached my lungs, filling me with torment. At the same time, the starscapes that could be seen through the fluid finally began to recede from my field of vision, leaving only infinite darkness around me.
Don't panic, I've got you.
From my wrist, I felt a firm sensation of contact and of something solid but engraved rubbing against my skin.
I'm gonna pull you out now.
I was dragged by the force on my wrist forward at incredible speed. I felt the water slicing past my face. The pain on my skin at that moment made me feel as though I was being newly born. After that, I seemed to break through some kind of membrane. Finally, fresh oxygen appeared before me at last, forcing away the fluids, preventing me from breathing. Taking deep breaths, I looked around, trying to figure out where I was. A Yuruno, who was clearly a few years older, was standing before me. She embraced me with joy and surprise on her face.
You okay?
Yuruno. So that's how. I remember everything now.
Huh? Oh, so you lose your memories once you go inside, huh? But it was pretty fast, all things considered. Only took you 3 hours to come out. I was all but ready to pitch a tent and wait for you and everything.
I looked up. The sky was dark and the stilling rains were falling, as was entirely reasonable. Yuruno hadn't gotten wet from the rain. It seemed like her bracelet was still working properly. Every time it rained, I always worried about whether the bracelet would decide to betray us. Yuruno, can you help me up? My legs are a bit sore.
No problem. Here we go.
Yuruno pulled me free from the space-time egg, and then let me go before immediately embracing me at the waist and lifting me into her lap. Holy shit, was Aaron right all along? Or was Scoop right all along? Clip silkworm, the black fluid, they form. The cocoon disappeared. I think it's slightly different. It's so similar though. She was in a fucking cocoon. I can't believe it. I met the you from high school. I was in there. Yuruno nodded as she cleaned my hair with one arm.
Yeah? So about the way I looked when we first met? I was still in high school back then when you'd already graduated.
She looked around before giving me a gentle pat on the back.
Not seeing Sakura anywhere. No good on this one either.
I clutched at Yuruno's back, trying to hold the tears back. I saw her. She was really a lot like An, you know. But she wasn't the same person.
I see.
Yuruno pressed the back of my head to her shoulder with a gentle force, her way of indicating that I should relax. She never asked unnecessary questions and didn't spend a lot of words on reassuring me. It might have seemed a bit cold of her, but I knew that she could always understand how I felt.
And you still managed to make the decision to leave, huh? It's been hard. Forget this for now. Let's go back to the hotel and take a break. Then you can tell me the things you saw.
I nodded, feeling a lot better already, and stood up straight, leaving Yuruno's grasp.
Oh, she's cyberpunk now!
Yuruno, by the way, how's your little sister doing?
Yuruno was about to go wheel her parked motorcycle over, but she paused in her tracks when she heard me asking about her little sister. Why are you bringing that up now?
After I entered, my memories were heavily scrambled. I want to make sure that my understanding of the past is still aligned with yours.
Oh, well, you helped cure her, remember? Now she's able to see things other than myself again. Her illness has stopped worsening, and I'm sure one day she'll be better for good.
That's good then. Yuruno took a quick step in and leaned an arm on my shoulder.
What, you worried I'll stop hanging out with you once my little sister's fully cured?
As if.
Relax. Since I promised I'd repay you for your help, I'm sticking with you until you get Sakura back.
Of course I trust you. You'll always look out for me.
The Thanatotic Muse's influence has disappeared. Oh, we've got a whole bunch of shit that we have to back read. Oh, hell yes. The Mother of Humanity. During the formation of the solar system after the collision of the planet Theia and the Earth, the Mother of Humanity, a disembodied consciousness, was born upon Earth. Her reactivity to stimulus caused the frequent tectonic motions of the Earth. Afterwards, due to the influence of the Mother, the planet gradually cooled, and at the end of a primordial epoch, she caused the seas to become an organic soup that allowed life to be born. With the continual evolution of life forms, the Mother's will evolved as well. She gained the ability to think when humanity was born, and began directing the course of human history consciously. However, after the Industrial Revolution, the Mother of Humanity found that keeping humanity away from the supernatural was growing more and more difficult, and that at the same time, humanity no longer seemed to require the Mother's protection. The Mother had grown tired, and thus began seeking out human candidates who could replace her as the consciousness of the planet. The Stilling Rains. A liquid life form from the planet Theia, capable of storing the consciousnesses of other organisms within its own body. After Theia and Earth collided, these organisms were also brought to Earth, after which the Mother of Humanity reproduced her own will and imprinted it upon the rains. Whenever a human encounters supernatural phenomenon, these liquid life forms will descend from the sky in the form of rain and parasitize the humans in question, causing them to faint and erasing their memories of the encounter in accordance with the will of the Mother. At the moment, approximately 5% of all humans have been infected with this organism. Sounds valid, mothers be tired. Yeah, I mean, after fucking millions and millions of years of dealing with humans bullshit, I'd be tired as fuck too. Honeycomb amnesia syndrome is in actuality a counterfactual disease. When humans noticed this phenomenon of widespread amnesia and fainting, they named the unknown cause of this phenomena an idiopathic syndrome. Humans who have been parasitized by the stilling rains have their memories before and after the rains are removed, causing them to forget the rains entirely. Furthermore, since the excess rain organisms retreat underground after their task is complete, no evidence is left to be found. Because of this, humanity is under the misconception that there is no shared factor between the widespread amnesia events and that it is a disease that cannot be controlled. The syndrome was given its name because all of its sufferers lose memory of the same time period, like multiple honeycombs which have suffered damage to the same cells simultaneously. Sure. Infrasonic pudding. Infrasonic puddings are masses of infrasonic vibrations around 15 Hz in frequency. Externally, they appear as a 15-meter tall, 30-meter wide green masses. Because they appear as solid masses, only direct contact with the pudding has any anomalous effect. Infrasonic puddings appear all over the galaxy, and tend to disappear after 2 hours of manifesting.
Furthermore, all infrasonic puddings which manifest share the exact same wavelength, no matter their time or position. Currently, their goals and origins are unclear. However, wherever infrasonic puddings appear, stratum whales are also invariably found as well. I'm just gonna jump right to the stratum whales. Stratum whales were given their names because they appear identical to humpback whales while on Earth. However, on other planets, they take completely different forms altogether. Stratum whales are capable of living in the gaps between any two strata or layers, whether those layers are physically material layers or merely abstract concepts. In the gaps, they use bubble hunting methods similar to that used by humpback whales to capture and consume materials or concepts floating in their gap, quickly expelling them after a quick digestion process that has little impact on the layers. Ron once attempted to track down the most recent appearance of an infrasonic pudding on Earth, planning to use it to help track down a nearby stratum whale. Her plan was to use the stratum whale to enter the gap between life and death to try to find Aunt Sakura there. Is this Death Stranding? Yes. Infrasonic Pudding and the Stratum Whales is an incredible band name bridge. Sapient tensors. Sapient tensors are highly aggressive organisms which can freely change between various forms of matter. However, they cannot control their transformations and only change under the influences of other consciousnesses. Physical interference is ineffectual on sapient tensors. Only the mind affects them. For example, when tensor forms are surrounded by highly excited minds, they transform into continually expanding flammable gases, while being surrounded by depressed minds will cause it to transform into a highly dense silver metal. Beside that, though, the thoughts of nearby higher life forms will also influence the exact form they take upon. However, if nearby minds are strong enough, they can also directly slay the tensor in question, or cause it to transform into unique forms of matter, such as supersolids or superconductors, etc. The Thanatotic Muse. The Thanatotic Muse is a 2,100 meter long molluscoid organism currently located at the coast of the island of Thasos, with very weak life signs. 20,000 years ago, it landed alongside an asteroid in the Aegean Sea, upon which fell into a near-death state until it was brought to the Azore Islands by a volcanically induced tsunami. Countless space-time eggs grow from the underside of the Thanatotic Muse, and peering into their membranes reveals that their interiors resemble spiral galaxies. The Thanatotic Muse can control space and time within any of these eggs, and Ron Ibuki's experiences were the result of it recreating people that Ron knew of, from all across in space and time within the egg that Ron occupied. Its goal was to create an ideal space that Ron would be unwilling to leave, in the hopes that she would eventually ascend to become the new mother of humanity while still trapped within the egg, and thus gain the ability to help the Thanatotic Muse return home. And finally, the Self-Devourers. The Self-Devourers are a pair of black-scaled, serpentine organisms 61.8 centimeters in length, possessing a high level of intelligence. The Self-Devourers possess the ability to transfer concepts or properties from one object to another object. The two snakes each represent the origin and endpoint of the transfer respectively. When the Devourers decide to use their special ability, their bodily length will change based on the target, allowing them to encircle the targeted origin and endpoint of objects in the form of Ouroboros rings. Furthermore, when they initiate a conceptual or property transfer, the concept or property itself will be altered depending on the Devourer's intent. Ranabuki placed one of the Devourers each on Sayuruno and her little sister in order to transfer Sayuruno's sister's anomalous condition onto Sai. As a result, Sai has become incapable of physically perceiving or interacting with her little sister, a condition that will persist until Sai's death. Oh, that's tragic. Tag yourself on the Thanatotic Muse. I'm for sure either the Stilling Rains or the Sapient Tensor.
I think I'm gonna take the stilling reins. Oh no! I think the game crashed with the most utterly confusing fucking error message. No, 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 I didn't save! Oh, piss. Oh, wait, okay. Do I have control again? No, something broke! Oh, that's so tragic. Alright, hold please, I'm gonna try to speedrun this shit. Yeah, Ava's got the right of it. God damn it. That's so annoying. Oh, whatever. Okay, we were... Oop, shit, I went too far. Okay, that's fine. Of course I trust you, Least look out for me. Yuruno shied back away from me as though she'd seen something disgusting and shrunk her shoulders in. Ibuki, your heartfelt confession is making my skin crawl, you know that? What? No, just get on your bike already. Yuruno laughed as she jogged towards her motorcycle. I took the opportunity to open the notebook and turn to the page where I kept notes about useful leads on reviving the dead. Let's scratch the Thanatotic Muse off, then. As soon as I said that, a line drew itself across the Thanatotic Muse entry on its own. It was fine, there were still plenty of leads to follow up on, lots of hope left. Just then, Yuruno pulled her motorbike up to me next and spoke. So, where do you want to go next, Ibuki? I closed the notebook. A few different locations appeared in my mind, but I didn't have to think long before rejecting all of them. Let's go back to Japan first. I want to visit Miho and Aya and Koizumi-sensei. Yuruno nodded, and after putting her helmet back on, turned the motorcycle back in the direction we'd came. I looked down, watching as the wheels kicked up dirt, and thought about the way that Miss Sakura and I had brushed off the mud in our shoes before entering the gymnasium just a few days ago. Sakura. Supporting myself on Yuruno's shoulders, I hopped on the back seat of the motorcycle and hugged her waist tight. The heat of the motorcycle engine and the warmth of Yuruno's back filled me with courage. I turned my head and looked back at the giant mass which stretched the length of the coast. Compared to its size, the storms were nothing but a thin veil. The rainwater and my tears forced me to narrow my eyes, but I still wanted to get a good look of it before I departed, so I pulled up my shoulder, wiping my face on the water-resistant fabric to clear my vision. Goodbye, Indo Asakura, on. As lesbians ride off into the night on their motorcycle. Oh, that's so cool looking. This is beautiful art. This is so cool looking. The Chrono Jotter. I think it's eggs, Bridge. I think they're like fish eggs. Because that's what she, like, put herself inside of. Oh, God, it's so loud! Oh, it's so loud! Oh, no, 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 no. Shut up.
Why was that so loud? Holy shit.
Loud, like how gay this game was. Oh, yeah. The 8 most poorly adjusted lesbians you've ever met. Oh, I love... Oh, these are good! I love that Oscura. Oh, these are so cute. Also, Sai, that cat's gonna kill that fucking bird. Mio playing the fucking harmonica. Oh, they're so cute. I love it. And we're gonna get an on and... Yeah! With their very cursed journal. I wonder if her hairpin means anything. That's not a design I recognize. I wonder if it's got some significance to it. Symbolism with the cat eating the bird. Yeah, sorta, I guess, but not super significant. I think they were just cute drawings. That was the Chrono Jotter, though. Thank you all for joining me on that journey. I thought that was a really interesting little game. Yeah. I would have never called where the fuck any of that was going. That was insane. But I had quite a bit of fun with it. And I hope you all enjoyed it as well. As always, as I will say here and again, if at any point you want to see the whole game, I upload these pretty regularly to my YouTube VOD channel. You can find the lists down below and all of that. You can get a link from there. But if you ever want to catch up on this this game or see the whole thing through, I've got them all up, and I'll have this last one probably by the end of the day, if not then tomorrow. But yeah, I think next time we are going to do and open with Great God Grove. The world is ending and the gods are swabbling. Suck up and launch dialogue in the world of puzzles, puppets, and weird gods, or the rift will consume us all. It seems like a much goofier, much more lighthearted game. So I think it'll be a nice little palate cleanser after the Chrono Jotter and stuff like that. So come join us next week if you're interested. I've played a little bit of it, but I'm going to restart it and go that way. As you can see, I played a little bit over half an hour, and then I decided I want to do this one on stream. So, yeah. But that takes us pretty much right to 5. Perfect timing at the end of the day. So, I was told by Scoop last time that my endings cut off way too long. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say goodbye to all of you and wish you a great night. And then I'm going to wait here for a few seconds so that I don't just cut off in the middle of a sentence. Have a good rest of your evenings, everybody. And I hope to see you next week when we start a new game. Bye. Hey, if you stuck around to the end of the video, I just wanted to say thank you, and I hope that you enjoyed. If you want to help support me in making more of this, you can follow me on Twitch, where I stream these live. Like, comment, and subscribe. I suspect you all know how this works by now, but it really does help a lot. Thanks.